There is a day on the True Word television.
Today is Tuesday. Welcome to True Wellness Connections.
A day full of fun.
I can see like the ingredient, the recipe is coming up, like we are ready to really be.
Inspiration.
Be ready to listen. As you are listening, you are not just listening to the story, but you are asking for wisdom.
Education.
Don't begin to assume that when you go to school, your accent, nobody's going to understand you. They are going to understand you.
Guidance.
If you can make up your mind to say, I'm not going to allow my situation to define me, you will find peace.
A day full of true wellness.
It's going to be amazing, awesome, wonderful, and powerful.
Join these amazing ladies to talk health, wealth, parenting, social, moral, and community values.
You need people that will bring out the best in you. You need people that will believe in that vision or dream.
Claudine Salumu.
In this life, if you do not have hope, you will never live, you will never survive.
Victoria Masio.
When I say you need to look deep down in your bank account, it was me. To be honest.
Elizabeth Brimo.
A lot of homes have been robbed of joy just because of sex.
And Pastor Blessing Ngozi Heka.
Don't focus on the computer. Don't focus on your own one. Your wife needs your attention.
Do you want to be well?
You don't want to miss it out. I'm telling you, it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be really lifting.
The problem will be resolved and you have a fresh beginning. So you guys have fun.
Don't miss a single episode of the True Wellness Connections on the True Word Television Network every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
Oh yeah, Uganda mwena abali e Toronto mu Canada.
Have you been missing your favorite organic taste from Uganda? Blessing Supermarket 3601 Lawrence Avenue East in Scarborough greatly welcomes you to shop with us the organic matoke, lumonde, amayuni, muogo, amenvu, omlondo, engege, emputa, entula, ebinyebwa both pounded and nuts, ebijanjalo, mukene, goa sugarcane, maganja maize flour for both posho and porridge, katunkuma, endagala, akaro obushera, and many more not mentioned.
Yeah, at Blessing Supermarket, we are open Monday
to Thursday 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday to Saturday 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Come and shop with us. You will not regret.
Call us on 416-4573-513. Alternatively, call 416-289-9333.
Let's all go to Blessing Supermarket in Scarborough.
Thank you, Jesus. I see Jesus. I see Jesus. I see Jesus in this place, and I see Jesus. I see Jesus. I see Jesus in this place, and all I want to do, all I want to do, all I want to do is to worship you. All I want Jesus. All of the sun, the moon, the stars cry Jesus. It's Jesus. It's Jesus. All of the sun, the moon, and the stars cry Jesus. It's Jesus. Oh yes it is. Oh yes it is. Yes it is Jesus. The sun, the moon, the stars they cry. Say it's Jesus. Oh yes he is. Oh yes he is. Jesus everywhere. All of the sun, the moon, the stars cry Jesus. And he's all I want. He's all I desire. He's all I want. I want to see him display. He is all I want. He is everything I desire. And he is all I want. I want to see in this place. Say he's all I want. He's all I want. He's everything I desire. He's all I desire. He's everything I require. All I want. I want to see in this place. You're all we need, oh Lord. He's all I want. All I desire. Jesus, you're all we want. He's all I want. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And Jesus is here. Let me tell you, Jesus is here.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to True Wellness Connections. We meet here every Tuesdays, and we have the opportunity to discuss issues affecting life, and with the hope to rebuild, to transform, and to empower destinies. So my name is Pst NGOZI, the lead pastor of House of New Home Ministry. So last week, we had an opportunity to address an important topic, which we believe are sin, but most time we try to ignore it due to a lot of reasons, and sometimes we just talk about it casually, and that was domestic violence against men. We try to look at the causes of domestic violence, the impact on families, individuals involved in it, and we try to look at what God says about domestic violence. For we all know that any form of domestic violence, being for against men or against women, is bad. It's unacceptable to God. It is the will of God that couples will live together and raise up godly kids for him. But when they resort to violence, God frown at it, Holy Spirit frown on it, and the society frown on it. So, and it is really important that we talk about it. And like we said last week, when it comes to men, it's hardly talked about. And we had so many men suffering in silence because of cultural issues. You know, we believe that a man, you should fix it, you should know it. And when a man is suffering any kind of maltreatment from the wife, they struggle to talk about it. Most time the society won't even believe that the man is being abused. So we really look into it, and we encourage each other to know that irrespective of your age, it says that domestic violence is not acceptable. We would like to encourage people to have a good and enjoyable relationship, because when couples are happy, the whole family is happy, the children really prosper. So today we are going to look at conflict resolution. We want to talk about it so that instead of couple, both the man or woman resorting to domestic violence, it could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be sexual, it could be psychological. Instead of resorting, allowing the issue to get to a stage now that you will start fighting in the presence of your kids or family or abusing each other, it's better to be able to talk about it. Baby, before I go ahead, I have here with me one of my sweet sisters. I have missed her for a long time, which is Claudine Salomo. We missed our beautiful sister Lizzie. She's having fun somewhere, and we are believing that she will come up with something. So Sister Claudine, she's beautiful. She's a psychiatric nurse. She's full of knowledge. She's a child of God, a mother, a wife, and a pastor's wife. She's full of knowledge. She's full of knowledge. I'm so happy to have her back today.
Thank you.
And I have another special guest with us, which I'm going to allow you to know who he is, because he's a man with many hats. That's how I describe him. He has a lot. So it's better I give the audience the opportunity to hear and know who he is, then I will come back.
And here is your guest today at the True Wellness Connections. Patrick TSHIOVO is the Executive Director of Okapi Counseling and Community Support Services, Incorporated. He also heads the Winnipeg React Incorporated, a Manitoba-based outpatient addiction treatment program. He has a deep-rooted passion for helping people grow, heal, and reach their goals. He offers a supportive, non-judgmental, trusting therapeutic relationships. His approach is mainly person-centered, but he integrates other approaches when appropriate and helpful. Patrick has experience working with youth, adults, couples, and families dealing with addiction, relationship issues, crisis, and trauma. He holds a master's degree in social work, and he is registered with the Manitoba College of Social Workers. He is hosted today by these amazing ladies. Enjoy.
So welcome, Mr. Patrick, to the show again. I like to call you a man with many hearts because you are full of knowledge and wisdom. And I believe that our guests are going to learn a lot from today's discussion. At the end of the day, we believe that the name of the Lord will be glorified and couples will start loving each other as never before and get your intimacy back to life. Do you mind to say hi to the audience?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm very happy to be back and join you guys to have this very important and fruitful discussion today on conflict resolution. As you know, we all know conflict is inevitable, and we all come in contact with conflict on a daily basis sometimes. So knowing how to get out of conflict or to resolve that becomes an important skill for life. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Happy to have you back. And my beautiful sister, do you mind to say hi to the audience? They have missed you, and I'm sure they are looking forward to hearing from you today.
Okay, thank you so much, my dear sister, Pst NGOZI. And I know you guys, whether I'm here or not, the True Wellness Connection is really loaded with wiser women. We have men coming aboard. So whether I'm here or not, I know that people are going to be blessed. So I'm happy and excited to be here again this evening. And yeah, the topic is very exciting, conflict. And all I know is that conflict is part of our life as a human being, but tonight we are going to learn together and a healthy way of dealing with our conflicts in one way or another, and so that, you know, our life can still going, you can still maintain our core in a way that we resolve things or matters that we maybe disagreed with each other or one another in so many ways. So I'm happy to be here again.
Thank you. Welcome back. So our viewers, please like and share this program today. Call somebody to come, call your wife, your husbands to come and sit with you and enjoy this program. And I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the man behind us in the technical room there, Apostle Jerome, that is always here every Tuesday to help us keep this program going from True Word TV. So God bless you, and I hope you are listening to today's discussion. Like I said, we want to look into the issue of conflict resolution. Most times, couples rush into fighting, yelling, discriminating, abusing each other, whereas those things could be avoided. It could be avoided. So we really want to look into the issues and see ways we can prevent the domestic violence, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, it can be prevented, even though, like Mr. Patrick said, conflict is inevitable. But even though it is inevitable, it can still be prevented or handled really very well. So I would like to ask one of my beautiful sister here, your thoughts about the issue of domestic conflict resolution. What are the things that causes conflict? What are the things that cause it? And why is it important for us to learn how to manage conflict within an intimate relationship? What are the reasons why you think it's so important? And what are the things that causes the yeah.
Thank you so much, Pastor Ngozi. First of all, what I would like to say is that people get into conflict because they exist. First of all, you know, you cannot be in a conflict with somebody who is not part of your life. You are in a conflict with somebody because it's a part of your life. It's your brother, it's your neighbor, it's your sister, it's your wife, it's your husband. It's somebody that you are related. So most of things that cause conflict is when people are not able to agree to disagree in one way or another. Things that makes a conflict most of times a high expectation toward each other. You know, sometimes parents have a conflict with their own children. Why? Because they have a high expectation on what they're expecting their kids to be, and also the children also have a conflict with their parents. Why? Because they're expecting their parents to be able to understand them, and at that time, then we require all of us to learn how can we resolve this conflict with your whoever, whether your kids, your husband, your neighbor, your teacher, your co-worker, in a way that is healthy, in a way that keeps you going. And the other thing that causes conflicts is cultural things. Sometimes you have different culture. You know, especially being in this land, the new land that you are living in, and you know, a husband having a high expectation from a wife, and a wife having a high expectation from a husband, and also we have a busy life, and you know, one is expecting this, one is expecting that. So basically, conflict is something. Even it can be even in the workplace, right? You know, your boss is expecting things that you feel like they're asking too much. At the end of the day, you go to work, you're not happy, you're not excited to be at work. But the bottom line is to be able to communicate. That's what I'm thinking. To communicate in the way of all those conflicts. And knowing that conflict should never separate you from each other as a parent and a mother, as a couple, as neighbor, as co-worker. Conflict is something that you should have the capacity to be able to analyze what is going on, and also to be able to value the relationship you have with each other prior to that conflict. Look at what the benefit do you have if you don't really resolve the conflict in your situations. What do you gain? Is there any gain with you if you continue to fight with your Pharaoh? Is there any gain with you if you cannot really sit down and have a conversation with your child, understand where your child is coming from? Is there anything wrong if we try to adapt ourselves to the new situation, a new environment? Is there anything wrong if you can just decide to be quiet rather than insulting your husband, insulting your wife, insulting your kids? How well can we resolve our conflict in the way that our relationship will not be compromised, despite that conflict is sometimes part of our life, but we still have to be in charge to make sure the conflict is not taking our joy, our peace, our future away. And that's all what I would say. So we have other people here that are going to complete. So.
Yeah, thank you very much, because it's not what allowing the conflict to take away your joy, your happiness. And today our focus is in marriage, resolving conflict in marriage. And by the special grace of God, we might touch a little bit of workplace or your children or your family, but we are trying to focus on the husband and wife to avoid resorting to domestic violence. And I think you see why I missed you for such a long time. Yeah, some of the things like you are saying that can cause the domestic, too much expectation, couples are expecting too much from each other, parenting differences and approach, and too much demand, issues at work. Most times we carry the issues at work to the family. So, Mr. Patrick, what do you think are some of the causes of this conflict in the house between husband and wife, and why do you think it's really important that we are having this discussion today?
Well, as I say, conflict is inevitable. We all face conflict in our relationships with one another, and it's important for us to know how to resolve those conflicts, right? So, and in a sense, conflict is not a bad thing, but unresolved conflict is what the problem is, right? And Sister Claudine had mentioned expectations. So, conflict can arise when there is unrealistic expectation or unmet expectations, right? And we need to kind of understand what is an expectation and what constitute an expectation. So in a relationship, there's three parts to expectation. Mm-hmm. So there's what we call standard expectations. So where I know you for who you are, and I expect you to show up, right? So a husband and a wife in a relationship where they, you always take care of us, and today when we needed you, you don't show up. Right? So then that's kind of a standard expectation. So husband's always at home helping, being there for the family, and then a situation happened today, they don't show up. So that can create a conflict. So that's a standard. So they're comparing you with who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And there's also what we call a potential expectation, right? And where the husband or wife is, I know who you could be. Right? So I know you could be more than this, right? So, and then when that doesn't happen, then they kind of, why not? An example of that would be like, we don't have any money at home. I know you can work 12-hour shift today, and then bring some money. And when you don't fulfill that, I can do 12 hours or whatever, it's like, why not? So that's a potential, right? So, and there's also made up expectations, where I'm comparing you. I'm like, well, we don't have any money. Why don't you be like Johnny next door? He has like a better job, right? So, and if you don't have that, so that could be a source of conflict as well. So when the expectations are unrealistic or unmet, that can spike a conflict. So we need to kind of be constantly aware of, you know, us in a relationship, like what are the expectations we have upon one another, and go from there. And if they are something that can be met, are they standard, potential, or made up? And then based on that, we can kind of come up with a solution to resolve the conflict.
That's quite interesting. Unmet expectations, and like you're saying, yeah, it's huge, because sometimes couples come into relationship with realistic and non-realistic expectations, and this can create a lot of issues and misunderstanding. And like you were saying, some couples struggle with agreeing to disagree. Yeah, they struggle with that. Rather than try to agree and disagree, they are just stuck in between, and these things can create a lot of tension. So how can we address this issue of unmet expectations? How can we address it so that couples can begin to see each other from that place of love and kindness, and remember themselves again, instead of fighting or destroying each other verbally, emotionally, because of their expectations that are not being met? So, Mr. Patrick, how can that be addressed?
Well, and one thing, I mentioned that last time as well, and I'll use that again. Communication is really important. We need to communicate with one another. As husbands and wives, we need to communicate with each other. As parents to our children, we need to communicate with our children, right? So brothers and sisters, we need to communicate with each other. So we need to really be able to understand that one is, even though we are in the same family, we can have two different opinions. And having two different opinions is okay, you know? And it's also being able to understand that no is not a bad thing when you hear no. Yes is not necessarily a good thing when you hear yes, right? So we need to kind of be able to differentiate ourselves. I mean, you know, one example I usually say, look at my fingers, right? So there are 5 fingers here, and each one of them look different, right? But all together is what they consider a hand. Okay? So if all your fingers looked exactly the same and were shaped exactly the same, you know, it wouldn't probably be called a hand. No. Right? So it's okay to have differences. So we can have differences, but as long as we're working together, we can grab things, we can do, so we can work together despite our differences. So that's the same thing with the relationships, right? So husband and wife can be completely different, but they're working together. So that communication. So if I was to grab this one, but these 2 fingers are wanting to close this one and trying to open, never gonna be able to grab anything. So communication becomes important. Let's agree to disagree, but let's keep talking so that we can see things from each other's different perspective. So that is the first thing we need to do.
So what other ways can couples address this issue of unmet expectations that they bring into their relationship? You know, when you're single, you have all this line-up expectation of what you want from the man, and the man have all this line-up of expectations. And then when they come into their marriage now, it looks like it's not happening, they fight. So what do you have to tell them about that? And Mr. Patrick have talked about communication. What other ways can they address the issue of unmet expectations?
Okay. Thank you so much, Pst NGOZI, and thank you, Brother Patrick, for laying the foundation. So personally, how I see marriage, I see it as a small company, small business. You know, and the way I see marriage is like, you know, there is always like there's like a president, a vice president, and the boards as in that marriage, which are your kids, you know. And so for a business to be able to run properly and successfully, the board have to be able to meet, to bring ideas together, and in those ideas, of course, you agree to disagree, but your best interest in that one is our business moving forward. And when things seem not to be going right, that's why you have the board of directors, which are your children. It doesn't matter how old they are, as little as Joshua. You need to be informed of what is going on in the family.
My handsome
son.
My handsome son. He's
Oh,
cute.
yes, he's very cute.
He's cute.
And they have girls too. So we're gonna talk after that.
Okay.
So basically, if you look at your marriage as a business that you have started, and this business is not there to fail, it's not be there to close, it's there to continue for lifetime. So a generation to generation, they have to profit the work of your hands. So from there, even conflict may come. You'll be like, we are not here to lose this business. We are not here to close this business. So what conflict, how will this conflict affect our business? You know, how will this conflict affect our future? Is there anything we can put aside and talk, as Brother Patrick said, communicate and find a solution in the way that promote the wellness, you know? Yes, conflict is there. Some people may want like, oh, we want to order things that come from China. Another one to say like, oh, we want to order things that comes from here. That's the business, right? Then you can disagree, but is your best interest being honored in all your disagreements? So as you are resolving issues in your marriage, issues are going to be there. Definitely is going to be there. Because because marriage is two imperfect people that decided to work together. In your imperfection, you have to promote, say, hey, this is the business we started. Until God do us a part. What is there for us to work on? Again, everything comes with a communication. You have to be able to tell your partner that this area you are hurt. You don't allow the conflict to escalate in the way whereby abuse start to come in. Because abuse usually is a result of how you have handled each other throughout the way. I always say, abuse, you don't wake up in the night, you wake up in the morning, say, I'm abusing you, my wife. You don't wake up in the morning, I'm slapping you, my husband. You don't wake up in the middle of the night. You know, it's a process that has been going on. But did you communicate effectively? Did you try to find, help in the way that you can resolve your conflict? So bottom line is that it's all about communication, as Brother Patrick said. It's all about knowing the reason why you are together. And it's all about knowing, do I have interest in this marriage or I can just break it? Because breaking is easier than building. It can take you years to build a house, but if I want to destroy it, I can destroy it in one day. And it requires a little triggers. My anger, my pride, my expectation, I want you to do this. If you don't do these things, I'm breaking it. You are breaking it, but you know the value of what you are breaking, So basically, in whatever conflict that you may have in your marriage, let us remember the first reason why we are together as a couple, and let us remember that we are two imperfect people that decided to work together, and let us resolve the conflict in the way you're still mothering your children, you're still mothering like maybe your neighbors. So basically that's what I would say in your marriage. Conflict is always going to be there because we are human beings. We have mind, we have thought, we have plan here and there, and but the bottom line is, so why are we together to begin with? So should we allow our disagreement, our misunderstanding to set us apart? So the choice remains ours. It's all about how do you value your life together as a couple? Where are you going together? Or you are just moving, you don't know, you have no plan. Because every couple have to have a laid down foundation to where they are heading, to where they are going. Because if you don't know where you're going to, you don't know where you're heading, your pride can just cut you off. Your anger can just cut you off. Your lack of money can cut you off. But if you know that, you know what you're up to, there's always a way to resolve our conflict in a constructive way.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I like that idea. If we catch it early, there won't be room to start fighting. If we catch those little issues, whether it's unmet expectation, parenting, if it is in-laws, you know, sometimes in-laws can cause issues in your home. If it is money, if it is sex, if it is the color of your skin, if it is the way you look at things, you're looking at it as half full, another person is looking at it as full. If you can be able to catch it early, or some people, you know, Mr. Patrick, some people have this controlling tendency, and sometimes they try to turn a blind eye to it, and by the time they know it, they will start controlling. That if we can catch it early, I just love that. If we can catch early and address it and come to realize why we are there, it will be much important, and it will enrich couples' life and enrich their children, rather than waiting until everybody is sinking and there is a food burner of abuse, masquerade, hitting each other, which is really not acceptable. So having said that, that communication, we know, is one of the key. Can we look at other ways that couples can address a conflict apart from the communication aspect, and they're trying to see the reason why you are there? What other ways can couples address issues? Let's say if it is money, because we know money can be a huge issue. It could be who is paying this bill and who is not paying. You are making more than me, or I'm making more than you, or you are spending too much on your in-laws, or you are spending too much on your family, or you are spending too much on your son. It's like you're the spender, I'm the saver now. Or you know some couples can say, the man can say, I'm the saver, you are the spender. So what other ways can couples address little forces? Because most time when you look at the issue of this conflict, you find out that that's not supposed to even resort to calling names, yelling at each other, screaming. So whether it's finances or whether it's a work stress, what other ways can you other tools can you give somebody to deal with it, rather than creating tension in the homes now that affect everybody?
That's a very good question. So, and as I say, you know, conflict is not a bad thing. It's unresolved conflict that is a problem, right? And then sometimes we have to kind of sit there and develop some self-awareness and say, what causing this conflict? Are we fighting just because you just spend $50 a day on a pair of shoes? Or are we fighting because I still mad at you for sending your parents money 2 years ago and not asking me? Right? So that's sometimes what we need to kind of find out, right? So, and a lot of times people in a relationship argue for three particular reasons. Power and control. Okay? So they are arguing for that. Or closeness and care. Okay? I don't feel close enough to you, you don't care for me, and all those things. Or it's respect and recognition. I do all this work and I don't even get appreciation. Now you want me to cook for you today as well. You know, things like that, right? So they haunt you. So if we did not sit there and resolve them back in the past, every time we argue today, I'm getting mad and mad and mad, and you're like, I don't even know why is she getting mad, or I don't understand why she can get this mad for just a small mistake. I forgot to close the fridge, and you know, the big issue. I forgot to you know, to feed the dog or whatever, and then it's a big issue. So people sometimes argue because of unresolved conflict that they're bringing forward. So having a self-awareness of knowing, okay, what am I arguing with my spouse for right now? Are we just talking about the incident that just happened? Or am I bringing everything else? You know, as I say, you know, $50 you spend on your shoes? No. Last year, you went and bought yourself a new car. You didn't tell me. You know, now we have to, you got a credit card. You didn't tell me. Now you send your brother money, even though he was giving it to that girl that didn't, right? So you bringing all of that into the discussion today. That $50 that you guys are arguing about today feels like you're arguing about $5 million.
Whereas it's not the issue.
It's not the issue. So, you know, and those are the things that comes into the argument. So self-awareness, you know, communication, self-awareness becomes also key. So we need to kind of be aware of that.
Thank you very much. You know,
Can I add something?
yeah,
on
sure,
that?
go ahead.
I like the part you say unresolved conflict. That's a
Yeah.
big one. Because as you said,
Are you a victim? You have done it before?
no, this can be $50, you know? This is just a trigger.
Yeah.
The issue is not the $50 that
Yes.
you just send.
Yeah.
There is unresolved conflict.
Yeah.
So it is very, very important that as a couple, that on the daily basis, let not 24 hours go without resolving any issue you have with each other. Because sometimes you say, oh yeah, I just forget about it, I just forgive him, I just forgive her, then I'm just waiting for you tomorrow to spend $50. Then I will tell you off and I will remind you of everything that you have done. So what I'm understanding here is that let couple never have unresolved issues, because that unresolved issue is going to come and you find it waiting for you there. And that's why we always see people like having those like flashback, like things that happened to you as a child is affecting to you as a man, because the issue that you went through as a child was never resolved, and then it's affecting you the way you are living today as an adult. So whenever there is an unresolved conflict in any ways or another, that way, trust me, whether it's after 2 years or 3 years, it will just gonna wait for a little trigger, and that unresolved issues is gonna come to pass. So it's very important that we are aware as couple how we live with each other, and make sure we are really as transparent as we can ever be. And I always get surprised, couple, you know each other naked. Like, what secret do you have for each other? No secret you really have for each other. You can easily say, hey, I don't like what you did yesterday. You don't have to wait after 3 years when I spend, I go to on Amazon and I spend $50.
Did you spend this week?
This week, actually, no, I haven't been going to Amazon, and I'm seriously, I discipline myself not to go to Amazon, because Amazon can be addicting. That's for sure. I haven't been on Amazon. I you know, I'm serious. So yeah, let us just learn as a couple to resolve our conflict. Don't wait, because like as you, from the previous topic about domestic violence, it doesn't come overnight. It builds up from all those unresolved conflicts. One day you wake up, somebody's punching your face and you are surprised. Wow, what's happening? No, it's not because you did not close the fridge. There's something that you did in the past that was never resolved, and that is passing on. So yeah, so let us learn how to communicate with each other right at the spot. Hey, I don't like what you did to me yesterday. I did not like it. I really don't appreciate it. I don't want you to treat me this way. And then your partner should be able to say, oh, I'm so sorry. You know what? I didn't know. And also, the word sorry is a magic word. Apologize with each other. You don't have to argue with me. If I say you hurt me yesterday, all you have to do is to apologize, because you cannot weigh how much you are hurting your fellow. You cannot weigh, because being hurt is subjective. When I tell you I feel this way, you can't argue with me on that. If you say I am mad at you, I cannot argue with you on that. I have to just be able to say, you know, I'm sorry that I made you feel the way you feel. So how can I resolve this? How can I resolve? How can we move forward? How can we do it better? Because the bottom line is knowing, why are you together? Are you together for life? you may as well be able to resolve your conflict before it becomes toxic.
So thank you very much, like Mr. Patrick and my darling sister, what you are saying when it comes to resolving conflict, bringing self-awareness, because most times when couples are quarreling, if you look deeply, you will find out the reason for that quarreling is not even being addressed. That they are talking about fridge is not about the issue of fridge. It could be lack of recognition, so it could be underlying issues that they don't want to talk about. I remember the day I went to go and do this my hair, and I came back and I was expecting my darling husband to look at it. I was just going all over the places so that he can, just say something about my head. And he didn't say anything about my head. I tried to walk around, shake my head. He was not trying to look at the head and admire it. And inside of me, I was boiling. I was boiling because he didn't recognize or try to talk about my hair. Even I tried. And I didn't say anything, but inside of me, I was so upset, Mr. Patrick. So you can imagine when he asked me a question, I was so upset. To him, it's like, baby, what's the problem? And I didn't know how to tell him, see my head.
See my head,
See the braids, look at it, it's beautiful. So it's really important when there is a conflict in the house for couples to sit down and reassess what is really the issue. Before you talk, before you start communicating, to step back and think about what you are really addressing. Is it really the main issue, or could it be more, so that you can start identifying them one by one, one by one, and deal with it, rather than just focusing? Because when we focus on what is not the issue, even if you have settled, it has the power, it has the way of coming back on each other again. So this self-awareness and asking yourself what is really the issue is really important in marriage for couples to move forward. And like you are really saying, understanding that why you are there is so important. Your relationship is so important, more than any other thing. And it's better you fight to disagree, but agreed. Knowing that to disagree or to agree does not mean that two of you are really bad. And having this win-win mentality, I really love that. Do you want to say much about that? That couples coming to a place to see it's not about you are losing or you are winning. Trying to see that all of you in this matter is right. Nobody's wrong. Do you mind to say much about that? I don't know. Want to go and talk to couples about having the mentality of win-win.
And that part of power struggle, I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when people are looking at conflict as an opportunity to win, and that becomes problematic, right? So and that carry on. So I just wanted to, before we move on, I just wanted to bring up, there's a proverb in Africa that says, when you go to bed with an itchy butt, you wake up with stinky fingers. So think about it. Right? So when you don't address things now, they become
stinky.
Exactly, right? So, and this is part of one of those situations where it's like, okay, there is a concern now, as you say, I'm expressing my concern with this situation. So you spend $50 today, we have a mortgage coming out, and we don't have enough money in a bank account. So that's what my concern is. You should be able to give me the time to finish talking about it, so you can hear what my concern is as my partner. But sometimes we don't even get to that point. It's like, it's only $50. But is the $50 the problem, or it's when you spend it? If you had waited till Monday when we both get paid, we'll have more money. You can spend $50 then. But today, there's not enough money in a bank for the mortgage to come out. So that becomes important to know that when we are arguing or we're trying to solve a problem, it does not necessarily have to be, I win, you lose. Okay, it's about compromising and understanding each other's point of view, and also respect, because if you are in a relationship with someone, you promise them respect. You know, like by virtue of just being in a relationship, you promise them respect. You cannot just say, you know, like, we're gonna be in a relationship, but if you do the good things, I'm gonna respect you, and if you do the bad things, I'm not gonna respect you. It doesn't work that way, right? So we need to kind of keep that in mind. It's like, yes, there will be opportunity where, you know, I'm gonna have to compromise. I don't quite agree with that, but I can see your points. Let's give it a try, you know, and next time let's try my way. So it has to be both ways. So it's a partnership. You're working together, you know, because you know, you did not marry yourself. You married somebody else. So that somebody else was brought up differently. They have different values, and they're willing to put their value together with yours to make a different set of value, not to give up their value for yours. So, right, so that's where the compromising part is. We can live together even though we don't agree with this. Let's make it work, but it does not mean I have to forget everything about me and only follow you. So it's important for us to keep those idea in mind, and also knowing, as you say, Pastor Ngozi, apologize when you're wrong, you know, and it's easy, you know, it's easy. Just, I'm sorry, I spent the money today and I didn't ask you, I didn't know you were planning on making other payment. As easy as that, that can deflect the tension in a relationship. That conflict goes from 100% pressure to 20% pressure, right? So right there, we need to do that. We also need to know, how does the other person like to get, you know, if I have to apologize for them, how do they like to receive that apology?
Yeah.
Some people might be like, well, you also have to accept responsibility. You know, like, you know, you express regrets, but also accept the responsibility. You know, like, I know it was my fault. You know, I shouldn't have done that. And, you know, you accepting the responsibility. Some people might say, hey, you know, how are you going to make it up for me? Right? So you pay that, but the mortgage still have to come. So how are you going to take care of that? Because I don't want to pay the the fees, you know, no insufficient fund fees. How are you going to make it up? So that can be the way of them apologizing. Oh yeah, I'll call my sister and borrow $50 and put it. Oh, okay, then they're fine. But if you don't go to that extra way of finding out and say, how do I make it up to my wife or my spouse or my partners, or how do we get to a resolution here? That conflict is like the itchiness in your butt there, and then that's going to be following you every single argument you guys going to have in the future.
Thank you very much. So when it comes to the issue of intimacy, because you know, lack of intimacy caused conflict in the family. It's not just money. When each of you is not, maybe the men are expecting respect, you know, women, we want to be appreciated, you want to be loved, you want to be pampered. When there is no romance, you know, all these things can cause conflict in the home. So what will it be your suggestions to couples that are really struggling and having issue because there is no intimacy? You know, yeah. What will you tell them to deal with that?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. The first things, accountability is something very, very important in the camp, or you are accountable to each other. You have a role to play with each other. Just imagine, if you're going to live with this somebody for the rest of your life, you know, some of us have said, for better, for worse, man, I will die for you. So you have a role to play to be able to, because on that day it's easy for all of us to say, hey, some of them these days, I like how they do it. You use your own word to make a vow. Say like, you know, I'm going to be humble to you. I'm going to respect you. I will do everything because all I want you is to get me home, Understand? So that accountability and that be able to accept that there is a reason why they're asking you. You have to say, for better, for worse, because they knew there will be the ups and downs.
Yeah.
In the couple, there are hiccups that comes up. And that's the whole point, being accountable to support each other in one way or another. So you're talking about some of them like intimacy. Intimacy is something that you work on the daily basis. Yeah. The way you live with each other. You can't just wake up in the morning and you think that the intimate relationship is just something that just comes, or it's like an instant coffee. You just take coffee in the hot water and just there you go, the coffee is gone. No, intimacy is a everyday life. The way you talk to each other on the phone, the way you appreciate each other, the way you acknowledge each other. As simple as when Pastor Ngozi comes home, like, oh man, you look so beautiful, I love your hair, all those kind of stuff. You are preparing your wife for whatever you may ask later. So you never even acknowledge the hair that you didn't set her for both. But you understand, there's so many things that you look at as simple as that.
To say this is beautiful.
Yeah, even your husband, you need to appreciate him. You need to tell him how wonderful he is, and you need to even to appreciate how much you like him, like the way he does love for you. Do you like it? Do you appreciate him? Do you say thank you? Some other people, they don't know how to coach each other. So all those things makes your marriage so sweet. You have to be able to coach each other. You have to tell each other how you appreciate, how you like what you do. Some people, they say, oh, now, oh, he knows that I like it, or she knows that I like it. You know, say it. Are you there for? Are you, can't you talk?
Yeah, sing it down.
Yeah, you have to be able to express yourself. Some of us who have gone in the culture whereby sex is just something you can't say about it. Like, no, your partner, you need to coach each other. So, really. Text a small text, I love you, I miss you, man, I can't wait to you tonight, I've been waiting for you. All those things set the couple on fire. Again, you are together for life. Imagine. You wake up every day, see this person. How do you make your life exciting? You create a time for two. Date each other. Dating is not only when you are trying to win the heart of that girl, that you call your wife today, that man that you call your husband today. Dating is a lifetime. As long as you live, you have to be able to date each other. And the other things, and also when you love each other, you have to be able to tell each other the truth. Nobody will ever tell you the truth other than your partner. Yeah. And the truth your partner tell you, you don't have to like it, or you don't have to like it. Yeah. But you have to be able to analyze and say, oh, why is my wife telling me this? Why is my husband telling me this? Is he expecting me to do something better? You better pay attention to whatever each other is saying. Yeah. Because back home, they are telling us, like, when somebody says something, there is a message behind it. Again, because you are in the business together in that couple to live together for life. Find a way to read in between the line, the language of your partner. Some people, their language, they become quiet. They sit in the corner, expecting that the partner will say, honey, I am seeing today you are isolated, what's going on? Then you have to talk. As much as Pastor Ngozi say, I was just walking up and down the house. I'm just giving an opportunity for this man to notice that my hair is good. Yeah. Again, understand your partner is language. When she comes home, is always excited. If you don't see him or her excited today, approach, ask. Me, usually what I do, I take my husband to the restaurant. Sometimes they say, honey, let us go to Brandon this weekend to spend time together. Because okay, have time for two, you talk. Remember, you are together for life. You have to talk. Being angry, being yourself at the corner, trust me, that's not going to resolve your problem. In fact, you have to be able to communicate. And the other thing that Brother Patrick mentioned that is very, very important. You have to be able to face your troubles and apologize. Because you are a human being. You are imperfect. I make a mistake. I can say things I'm not supposed to tell you. And once you tell me I do not like it, I have to face it and say, honey, I'm so sorry. What I said that one, I didn't mean to say that. Yeah. And if you are together in the business, apology have to be accepted. Why? Why am I going to put you anyway? we are together for life. So let us learn to watch each other's language. How does my partner seek attention from me? Does he isolate himself? Then what do I do? You have to go and meet the person in his isolated corner. Maybe he wants you to ask how he's feeling or what is going on. But if the person, but the other things also, some people, they just don't talk. Oh, that's the question that our dear counselor of marriage, I'm going to ask this question. What if somebody just can't talk? You may see that something is not going right. You may see that somebody may be angry at you, or maybe have his own problem that is his own world, but is not willing to talk. So how would you go back and help each other in resolving whatever the conflict or the problem or the issue that may take place if people are not talking?
Well, exactly, and that becomes problematic if people don't talk. But usually, why people are not talking is because they have a preconceived idea of what can come up, right? So, and that could be because of several reasons. They've seen how you react, or the way they were brought up, right? So they've grown up in an environment where if I express my opinion, I usually ended up getting beat up. So what am I going to do when there is a conflict? I'm just going to avoid that. No, it's not a problem. I'm just going to live there. And they sit with that. So that becomes problematic. But in a relationship, usually if a husband or a wife doesn't want to talk, it's because they know either talking to you will cause you to just deny or deflect or minimize it, and not really listen to where their pain is coming from, right? So, and why bother going through all of that? So they're avoiding conflict when there's already a conflict, and that becomes a problem. Yeah, yes. For sure, yeah. And again, as you say, when they get into the couple get into a habit of working these things up on a regular basis, like, let's talk, let's discuss. What are your expectations? What are your thoughts? What would you like me to do? And when you get to that habit, you give each other that authorization and power to speak to each other honestly and openly, right? Because I would never say anything to my wife if I know she's gonna get mad and for the next 2 months I'm not gonna have sex. Whatever she said, are you okay? I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I'm okay.
I'm fine.
Right? I'm okay. Well, why are you not talking? I'm not just feeling good. Meanwhile, I'm upset, right? So a lot of people do that because, if I do it, they're telling her, hey, I did not appreciate what you did, this and this. She might go from 0 to 100, and now I have to sit there and figure, okay, what next, right? So it shuts me down. People, that's what they call the fight, flight, freeze response, right? So we all have that in us as to how we grew up. Did we grow up in a family where I can express my emotion, people can listen and give me an opportunity to kind of process them? Or it was, hey, men don't cry, man up, or we don't need to hear your opinion. That's, get over it.
Suck it up.
Suck it up, and we carry that into our adulthood. We carry that into adulthood. But the key is now in a relationship as part of conflict resolution, so let's get in a habit of talking with each other, spouse, husband and wife. Let's have a date. Let's talk. Let's give each other an opportunity to finish a thought. Like, yes, you tell me 2 things that you like about me. Tell me one, I'm going to tell you 2 things I like about you. Tell me 1 thing you would like me to change about myself. And I'm going to tell you, back and forth. You get in those habits, right? And then you go from there. Just like if you want to get perfect at it, you got to start early working out. So if you want sex at night, you start making breakfast in the morning. So that's kind of how it works as well. So if you want to get good at conflict resolution, you better start those small steps now. So put it into practice and listen to each other, and don't read too much into what's being said, because men we hear what's being said word for word. Women, on the other side, they talk in parables, right? So like, they give you this big idea and you have to deduct from it. So sometimes it might be like, well, how can you not be like Johnny? Well, you want to sleep with Johnny? No, I mean, why can you not work hard like Johnny, right? So men will hear, I want to sleep with Johnny. So now conflict arises. So sometimes we need to kind of refine those conversations between husband and wife to be able to speak the same language, you know. And if you don't understand, ask, can you repeat that and let me know what exactly do you mean? Can you give me an example? So that you can understand what your spouse is trying to tell you. So we need to get in those habits, talking to each other, and it's okay to say, I don't understand. You know, you don't have to understand everything from the first moment. Someone, I don't understand. Can I think about this? If you have nothing better to say, take a time, say, can I think about this and get back to you?
That's right.
Yes. And that's better than, let me say something that's going to create more conflict, and we're not going to look at each other. Husband and wife sleeping in the same bed, but it feels like there's a wall in between the two of them. Why? Because they can't talk.
So, and I think another reason why, that's a very interesting question you asked there. Thank you for reminding us. When you see a couple not talking, sometimes they are emotionally checked out of that relationship.
Oh yes, big time.
They have emotionally checked out, or they are afraid. Fear or emotional disconnection can cause one partner to check out and tell you, I don't want to talk. Just like what Mr. Patrick is saying. When a man, especially men, are afraid, when you tell a man, let's talk, you have killed him. And women does that a lot. Oh, we are going to talk tonight.
Yeah.
So instead of using that word, let's talk, try to be very sensitive to know the right time to go and sit and start talking. Because the moment you say, let's talk, fear set in. If it's the one that are emotionally checked out, both man or the woman, you're not going to make a little bit of move. And another thing is when they have seen that their emotions are being dismissed, they are ignored, they are not going to listen. And when women are asking, let's talk, already, check it, we are moving from a place of emotion. We are not ready to listen to the fact. Whereas when a man wants you to talk, the man is focused on the fact, not the emotion. And the woman always come with that emotional brainwashing, or you don't want to listen to what I'm saying. You know, women will start crying. So most men are not ready to deal with that emotional breakdown that is trying to cover, because they felt you are trying to cover the fact rather than let's really talk. But what really happens when you have a couple, either a man or a female, that don't want to talk, that always dismiss or afraid, the first thing is to acknowledge that and address that. Let somebody here, I notice that you are always you are always afraid to have discussion. Call it a name, approach it so that they know what you are trying to say, and let them know that you are willing, you are opening, because you want to address that fear. You want to address what you have sensed is making the person feel, because there is no room now to defend, and you have to make up your mind to give that person room to talk and to listen and to validate their emotion. Then another thing is when a man is vulnerable and you betray that vulnerability, go and check, they don't want to talk again. So fear of betraying vulnerability, which sometimes both man and woman can do, you know, when we are honey, you know, you release everything. Then in the days of war, you use what I told you to attack me. Oh my goodness. So most people, because of the fear of being vulnerable and being attacked in the days of war, shut them down. But to deal with that is, like I said, cool down, approach it, name what you have seen, give that person permission to talk, and you that is trying to take the lead, because in a conflict, one person must take the lead. One person must take the lead to deal with the issue. So you that is taking the lead to say, I notice you don't like to talk, I notice you dismiss, you deny, you must be able to come in a very respectful, loving, and emotional way that honors each other and bring back what you are trying to say. We are here together for the good of the family.
So, absolutely. And and one thing I suggest I suggest to a lot of people is that if you are in a relationship and you're struggling to communicate with one another, it's okay to reach out to a counselor or a pastor or an elder and say, can you help us talk? And that doesn't mean that you guys there's something wrong with you guys. It just means that you want to learn new things, right? So how do we make this relationship better? So we need to talk to each other. So it's okay to do that. Reach out to a counselor and say, can you help us talk? A lot of people struggle with, I don't know them, I'm not going to tell them all my problems. Sometimes I don't even know what the problem is. I don't even ask people, tell me what's your problem, what are you guys fighting about? But it just trying to understand where the difference is and help them understand how to see things from each other's perspective, and that becomes very important because we might take one example and practice it then, and then they can take it at home and practice it on other conflicts. So it's important to reach out to a counselor and talk to them and say, hey, we have a conflict at home, can you come and help us? Or I'm struggling with this, how do I do this? Reach out, and if there's a lack of information is, if you're lacking information, you're causing yourself to be in more hurtful situation or possible harm, right? So information is key. So you get the information from a trusted source. Get someone that can come and listen to your deepest and hurtful problem and help you, and not turn around and say, by the way, Pastor Ngozi, oh my goodness, do you know my sister Claudine? No, right? So you don't want that situation. You want it to be done in a professional way so that you can keep, as you say, that vulnerability is important. When you open yourself to be vulnerable, that means you open for input, feedback, and, criticism, right? So I need to hear from you. I need to hear critically what you think about me, but I don't need you to belittle me, right? So if I'm going to be open, I need that safety, and that stops there, and don't use it as a weapon for the next argument. So that's why I say, a lot of people, sometimes when they're arguing today, it's because of that control and power and control, closeness and care, or even respect and recognition. So biggest advice I would say to a couple, remember the 4 A's. Appreciate one another. Approve one another. It's simple things like you wake up in the morning, you see your wife getting dressed, it's like, I love that.
That dress.
I love that dress. I love those colors, right? So, right, and so admire each other.
So, pastor should appreciate this year dress.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Admire each other, and also pay attention to each other. Easiest things. Just you spending. You had mentioned texting them, say, I can't wait to see you at home. It shows that, you have my attention. Yes, there is 115 other women that at work, but who am I thinking of? My wife.
Yes.
So, hey, honey, I can't wait to see you at home. That's important. So people, get an exercise. Find every single day one thing that when you go home, you can share with your husband. That's one exercise to start beginning to help your relationship. One single day in your day that when I get home, I want to share this with my husband or my wife. Do that for 1 week, and you see the relationship will start changing.
Okay, Mr. Patrick, like the 4 A's you really pointed out now, when it has to do with the conflict around parenting, to the couples having different values and opinion when it comes to parenting their kids, how can they resolve that conflict?
Yeah. And just like with every other conflict, is being able to say, hey, you know what? Let's talk about it and let's see what is your perspective. So what do you see that I don't see? You know, let's look at the facts. So, and a lot of, you know, and also being able to train ourselves, because a lot of us as parents, we have this understanding that we're gonna educate our kids to be physicians and doctors. We're gonna give them all the education because we know what they have to be. But the kid is born with his own operating system, so he has 400 different traits of what's gonna tell him to be a doctor or a criminal. So we have no control over it. So sometimes when we use those bad information, say if we do this, this kid's gonna be okay over here, and the other parent doesn't see it that way, that create that conflict. But let's sit down and talk. Say, what do you see that I don't see? And can we try? You know, and remember, you always have to try. Even if you don't agree, okay, can we try this time, and next time let's do this. So see each other from, you know, their own perspective, so that you can, that's part of the respect. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, because there's no reason why you, as my spouse, will try to do something to hurt our kids. So, right? So then if we're saying something that doesn't make sense to me, let me see it from your perspective and find out what is it that you're seeing that I'm not seeing. So do that from that part. And that part of the, you know, the approval and admiration as well. I admire the way you think. Tell me more about what you see about our kids.
Oh, that's great.
And from a woman's perspective, you know, sometimes women can be guilty of that, because daddy is saying something, mommy is saying something. So from a woman's perspective, what will you be your own opinion or ideas on how that misunderstanding of values or expectation around the children can be addressed, rather than allowing the issue of parenting to create a toxic environment in the house?
Okay, thank you so much. Again, what is very, very important, we have to be able to be aware of our environment. So we have to be aware of the way we were brought up to where we are. When we grow up, we were raised by our community, which have the same value more likely. So, but where we are right now, we're in a different environment, whereby the TV, our neighbors is not where we are grown up. So the culture and all those kind of stuff are totally different. So what is more important, as Brother Patrick say, all comes together to communication and sit down and they learn that, you know, when we grow up, we never listen. Our parents, the words they say was the last. You're gonna be a doctor, you better be a doctor, man. I'm paying my tuition fees for you, you're gonna be a doctor. But the kids that you have here, I have my kids, right? Me, my 3 kids, one went to university, other one did not. But they're all from one mother. Did I tell you go to university, you don't go? No. But I allow them to be. All I'm there is to love them, support them, and see whatever the choices they are making. If they need my hand, I'll be there to support them. As long as I don't see them getting involved in the bad things, they can always go to school later. I know the time is kind of part of against us a little bit, but there's one thing I want to mention about what Brother Patrick say, the power of vulnerability and the part of seeking for counseling. Yeah. It is very important in your couple to realize that you have been struggling to resolve issues and conflict between of you, but you have never reached to any place. But you cannot just wake up and begin to abuse each other, those violence, before you invite the third person in between you. Sometimes you need a wisdom, somebody else beyond both of you. That's the reason why there is a court. Why does people go to court? because they disagree with each other on one area and they need somebody to help you. So as a couple, please use counseling. Those counselors, they are professional, they are educated. They don't have no time to think about what you told them. They think that they want to say it in the community. They are not going to say it. It's like doctors. When you go to doctor, maybe you have a big pimple, let's say on your private part. You're not going to say, hey, I'm not going to show my private part because my daughter is going to go and they tell people. You know how many private parts that doctor have seen? There's so many of them that doesn't have no time to think about yours. What am I saying? Those professionals, they have heard so many issues of couples. Maybe one of your problem may be similar to another problem, to another couple that they may have helped. Like our brother Patrick is one of the ways that he does. He helps couples from here and there. So let us learn. If we realize that there's a conflict in our marriage, let us value the journey of how we have come from together as a couple. Let us try to resolve our problem on our own as much as we can. But if we get to the point whereby there's a disagreement, let us seek counselors, professional counselors that will be there to help us, to grant us the wisdom, to help us how we can come to each other. So that maybe what we think is a big mountain is not really a big mountain. And the other things, let us be able to accept to be vulnerable. Accept that, be able to face the reality that in this area I wronged my husband. Accept it. Don't just try to shy it away to say, oh my God, what I did is a mess up. It doesn't matter even though maybe my husband caught me with another man. I'll be like, you know what, you caught me, the truth, I admit, you caught me, you are right. I was with another man, I'm so sorry. Yes, he has the right not to accept my sorry. But I have to admit that, you know what, for sure you caught me cheating on you, but really I love you. There's nobody else. Actually, it's not like he has anything better than you because I love you. Whatever it is. Accept to be vulnerable. Yes. Accept that you made a mistake. Just value the journey of your marriage. Yeah. Don't allow your pride, your struggle of power to make what you have built for 20, 30 years to go into water. So that would be my last way to say, I know I saw too much.
Well, just a couple things with that, Romans 12:19, right? So return good for instead of evil, right? So that's really important. So when you've been done wrong, don't do wrong as well. Just return it with good, right? And of course, speaking of vulnerability, Ephesians 4:32, let's forgive each other.
Yes.
Right? So let's forgive each other. Just because I forgave you, it does not mean that,
you are missing.
Yeah, right. So, but we can talk about it, but find a way to move forward. So it's really important. So if we're going to bring God into our relationship, let's follow His scriptures, and then let's move from there. So.
Thank you very much, because I was thinking, how am I going to have these children of God with me, the sons and daughters of God, and I won't hear a scripture? So my body was just itching, and it's like the Holy Spirit tells you, somebody needs to hear the word of God out there. Thank you, our viewers, for joining us today. Like you have heard it, it is important to recognize that God is at the center of every marriage. And unresolved conflict messes up somebody's life. It messes up the children. It messes up yourself. It blocks your relationship with God. And unresolved conflict will destroy destinies. It destroyed destiny. It destroyed the society. But when it's resolved, because the strength of every marriage is not based on love alone. The strength of every marriage is based on the ability of the couples to disagree and agree. It based on the ability of the couples to have an issue, and they are able to resolve it to the glory of God, and be able to raise a godly seed for God, and to be at peace with each other, to be a peacemaker, to be a leader, that through you that the name of the Lord will be glorified. That's where the strength of the marriage lies, because it's easy to dissolve a marriage, but the impact of dissolving a marriage is more disastrous than the energy, the time you are going to put into resolve is what it. So please rise up to be the hero in your home, in your family. Respect each other, communicate, come to the table, give each other the opportunity, and remember why you are there, that you are in a covenant. Approve, appreciate each other, admire, be honest, take responsibility. See that you are in this relationship to make it work. It's not about you win, I lose. We are all here together. The children God has given you is for two of you and for God. If there is an issue in the workplace, just come back home, resolve it, because your husband or your wife should be your best friend rather than making it a war zone. When we make our marriages a war zone and we are saying we love each other, no. So always remember that the strength of your marriage, the strength of your destiny lies even in the workplace, your ability to stand and deal with those difficult issues, and still at the end of the day there is a flow of love, there is a flow of peace, there is a flow of unity, and you can see each other and look at your husband, you say, thank you for coming into my life has improved. And you can look into your wife, you say, thank you for coming into my life. You have made a difference. I have this issue, but the more we communicate, I'm learning about myself. I'm knowing each other. If it is in-laws, if it is money, you know that those things can go away, but two of you remain the same. So God bless you, and I pray for couples there that the grace to run this race and enjoy God, enjoy the relationship that God has called two of you to be a blessing. Receive it this hour in the name of Jesus. So thank you, Mr. Patrick, for coming, and my darling sister. We are looking forward to seeing you next time. And for our viewers, after listening to this program, if you have any question, some confusing things you want to ask or address, you can send it to us privately, or you can send it online. We are here to support you. We are here to make our life enjoyable and beautiful. So God bless you, and see you next week Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There is a day on the True Word Television.
Today is Tuesday. Welcome to True Wellness Connections.
A day full of fun.
I can see like the ingredient, the recipe is coming up, like we are ready to really make
Inspiration.
Be ready to listen. As you are listening, you are not just listening to the story, but you are asking for wisdom.
Education.
Don't begin to assume that when you go to school, your accent, nobody's going to understand you. They are going to understand you.
Guidance.
If you can make up your mind to say, I'm not going to allow my situation to define me, you will find peace.
A day full of true wellness.
It's going to be amazing, awesome, wonderful, and powerful.
Join these amazing ladies to talk health, wealth, parenting, social, moral, and community values.
You need people that will bring out the best in you. You need people that will believe in that vision or dream.
Claudine Salumu.
In this life, if you do not have hope, you will never live, you will never survive.
Victoria Masio.
When I say you need to look deep down in your bank account, it was me. To be honest.
Elizabeth Brimo.
A lot of homes have been robbed of joy just because of sex.
And Pastor Blessing Ngozi Heka.
Don't focus on the computer. Don't focus on your own one. Your wife needs your attention.
Do you want to be well?
You don't want to miss it out. I'm telling you, it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be really lifting.
The problem will be resolved and you have a fresh beginning. So you guys have fun.
Don't miss a single episode of the True Wellness Connections on the True Word Television Network every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
You are watching the True Word Television, spreading the true word of salvation. You are watching the True Word Television, spreading the true word of salvation.